Okay, one of our subscribers asked me if I would be willing to give some pointers for painting snow. Well, we can take a look at that one. Okay, the first thing is that there are many kinds of snow scenes. The snow scene is going to be different in different parts of the world, different parts of a single country. Like in the U.S., for example, a snow scene is going to be different in the flatlands than it would be, say, in the mountains. And so the first thing that you need to do is to pay attention to what's actually happening in the snow scene. Now, I've got several examples here of the kind of thing I'm talking about. One thing is there, has it snowed already, and then has the sun come out, such as we have in this one? And in that case, you're going to have lots of cast shadows and really strong lights on the snow. Another thing is, what time of day is it? Is it early in the morning before the sun really comes up, or is it late in the afternoon after the sun has already gone down, such as we have in this? Because that's going to make all the difference in the world in how you approach the painting. The other thing is that in this snow scene right here, we see that it's actually snowing, and there's hardly anything there. It's almost a blackout, and so, but it's still a potential for a subject. Here we've got lots of things going on. Apparently the sun's already out, the sun's shining. We've got reflections there. Reflections in the lake, but we still have snow around the lake, so we've got different things going on there. And here we have kind of the sun's not exactly out. It's late, apparently late in the afternoon, but we have some strong shadows. Well, I said the sun's not out. The sun's somewhere because we wouldn't have those shadows. But we've got a dark, cloudy sky, a combination of dark, cloudy sky and also the sun shining. So we've got dark shadows. So you see all these things and all these differences, and there are some common things that you can look for that will then enable you to do a really nice painting of any snow scene that you want to paint. So I've got them listed here. Now there are actually five things to keep in mind. One, what is the kind of light? Now I just talked about that. Is it late afternoon? Is the sun shining? Do we have cast shadows? Or is the sun behind the clouds and we have subdued shadows? Is there absolutely no sunlight whatsoever? So what is the kind of light? And then if you do have some sunlight, or even if you don't have sunlight, how dark are the shadows? Now that's one thing that people will often overlook, because here's the thing. If you're saying you're painting snow, you might not even see the shadows. But don't think painting snow. You're painting light and shadows of snow. And so let me just give you a little example here on what they're talking about, the darkness of shadow. Look at this one down here. We see it here. We see it to some degree here in this one, but we'll see it here. Now look, people would not realize, some people would not realize that this is a middle value color, And well, I should probably begin to bring the color and the contrast into that too. But first of all, I just want to talk about the darkness of shadow. Like now, if we were doing, say, this scene, would you believe? Let's go right in here where I know that to be. And by the way, I didn't put this on the list, but if for doing snow scenes, it's a good idea to have a set of complements on your palette so that you can get degrees of neutral. And you can go back to the quick tip, a former quick tip we did of I talked about winter colors, and you can find that. Now you can find a good combination of colors for working with snow scenes would be the same as what I'm talking about here with complements. But now if we look at that, I'm mainly looking for the value right now. This value, well, let me just show it to you right here. Alright, now you see how dark this is against this piece of paper. That is a shadow in snow. Now I just mixed a color, and you see the value. The color I just mixed is the same value, a little difference in color, but the same value. That is a middle value. So you can see that right here on this value scale, that value falls about right in here. The value of the shadow of a really, really strong shadow in snow. So this is it right here. Yes, indeed, that is the value. That is the value of the shadow in snow. So if you paint the shadow value first, get that sort of just enough here for you to see the difference. If you paint the shadow value first and then paint the lights, that will help you then to get the value you're seeing. But the problem with most people is they won't believe it as dark as it is, and they won't make it as dark as it is, and then it will not look right. It'll look like a shallow painting. I'll just mixed a little bit of the light here, just to show the contrast here. And you might say this would be the light. This would be where the sunlight's shining on the snow, right here, and of course there would be then a few darker shadows as we see here, like I won't try to. I'm not going to take the time to do a complete painting of that, but I just want to show you. I want to emphasize here that if you get those shadows dark enough, there's the light again. If you get those shadows dark enough, then your snow scenes are going to be a lot more exciting. Now that's when there is a strong shadow. That's when the sun is shining, or there's some sunlight there, and it's causing shadows to be cast. So that's a very important thing. You see, in a scene like this, we don't have any cast shadows, but you do have some shadows. So let's move on then to what we would do with a scene like this, where it's almost a whiteout. Temperature contrast. So far we've colored what kind of light is your snow scene in. If you've got the strong light in there, how dark are the shadows? Go in with the darkness of the shadow. What's the temperature? What's the temperature contrast? Now when you have a snow scene like this, you can do a very slight change in temperature to show the difference. Show the differences that you can see in there. Now, let me show you what I'm talking about there. If you use this is all neutral because all the colors are subdued by the snow. But if you're using a set of complements, like here I'm using the ultramarine blue and the transparent oxide red. This is the Rembrandt transparent oxide red. Okay, so if you're using a set of complements like that, you can create a neutral. And so I'm just going to create a middle value neutral right here. Now that neutral can lean towards warm. Now, in any set of complements, one color is going to be warm, one color is going to be cool. And so in this case, the blue is cool, and the transparent oxide is warm. Transparent oxide red is warm. All right, if I could come right up here. That's a neutral. If I make that neutral a little bit warmer, that's it right here. You see I've got a little bit warmer right here. Now, if I make it a little bit cooler, the same neutral, a little cooler, that's it right here. See? Now, in this scene we see, I'll get a piece of paper here and show you. In this scene we see, you can see right here, that you're not going to have a light that's the lightest light you would go. And so what you can do there then in a scene like that is you can vary the neutrals. Where you feel it's lighter, you can make those neutrals warmer. Where you see it's a little darker, you can make those neutrals cooler. So say we'd go something like this. Now here the neutral, I made that neutral a little cooler, a little warmer. Well, it depends on, you have to have one side by side. I'm going to make it a little cooler here. Now say if I see a little shadow in the background, I see it in shadow a little bit in the background there, then I can make it a little bit cooler. There won't be a whole lot of change in value. But if you have a scene like that and you change warm and cool, you see already there, if you change warm and cool, you have the where it seems to be lighter, you make it warmer where it seems to be cooler. You make it cooler where it seems to be darker. You make it cooler. Then you can see that you can create a really interesting and fun painting over the scene like that, just by varying the warm and cool. I could even have the warm a lot warmer here. You don't want to get it too warm because then it'll start looking fake. Let's get that just a little bit cooler right here. There we go. See if I get a little cooler. Of course, admittedly, the value is a little darker too. And you get the feeling there, warm, cool, and so that you can use. So the temperature contrast. Now, temperature contrast you'll find in all your snow scenes, but probably the most important thing is the value contrast, and that often will get missing in snow scene. The value contrast, people won't make the values dark enough. Now, I talked about that as far as the shadow goes, but let's look back at this scene where we have no light, or rather, where we're almost in a blackout there. You can still, things that are closer to you there, I can still see as dark. And so, you see, if you take a scene like that and you make the darks dark enough, so you go as dark as you can. Let's see, if I wanted to place this tree trunk right here, as we're going uphill, and I make that dark enough, you see, let's create that just a little bit more. There we go. If I make it dark enough, then you can see the contrast, the value contrast will make the whole thing work. Now, see the same thing down in here. Usually in snow scenes you won't have quite as much dark against light, but be sure and make the darks dark enough where you do see them. And you see right here in this snow scene, those little trees, you can see them very dark. And let's see right here. Now you can see, I'll just pull this right up in here like that. Like that. So if I'll just show just the tree trunks here. Okay. So if you have that dark enough, that then it also helps the shadows to feel better here. So paying attention to the value contrast. And then of course the fourth thing is, what do I have? I have four there twice. Well, who says an artist can count? Anyway, the next thing is color. Give the scene some color. And I was going to that right here. We don't really read any color in here, but if you add just a little bit of warm where you see it lighter, where you see it feeling lighter, and you add a little bit more cool where you feel it darker, or say you could take two color complements. You could take the purple and yellow ochre, for example. You could get a low intensity purple and yellow ochre, and use just those two to create the entire scene, where the warmer ones work in the areas that feel lighter, and the cooler part works in the areas that feel darker. That's a way to also enhance a snow scene. And then the final, and probably another one of the most important pointers I would make to you, is when painting a snow scene, avoid putting pure white on the canvas. Now, why is that? It's because white is totally neutral, has no color in it. It doesn't do anything except sit there and stare at you and look like white paint. Now, some of the whites will tend to be a little bit warmer, some tend to be a little cooler. But if you want the white to really work as sunlight, and that's what most people are trying to show, sunlit snow, then one little clue there, if you add just a touch of a red-orange into it, just a touch, a hint, so you really don't see it, but it just brings that light out, then that's a good way to add real sunlight to your snow. So if you found this quick tip helpful, you know we have our full-length videos at DianeMize.com. Well over 100 full-length lessons, all talking about, all showing how to solve composition problems, composing problems. And also, if you have a quick tip you'd like me to do for you, something that you're confused about, like an answer to, go right down here in the comments box. Let me know, and we'll put yours on the schedule. And there's your quick tip.